I'd like to call the meeting to order.
They can hear us.
Everybody, can everybody hear?
Indeed. Yes. Yes.
Okay. We have several telephones that.
Where's Alan?
And Jamie.
Jamie on the phone?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Shoot.
Before we get to the official part of it, condolences go out to the Ullman family. Jeffrey died at home on April 30th. He'll be missed very much. A celebration of life will be had when we can get together. My condolences to the family. He will be missed.
Indeed. Thank you, Eli.
Okay. Roll call. Ms. Newton?
Here.
Ms. DeWolf?
Here?
Mr. Silly? Mr. Lyford?
Here.
Mr. Badger is here. Okay. So we saw Alan earlier. I'm not sure whether he's here or not. But we shall move on. The approval of minutes from 4/20. Are there any corrections?
I have one. Page 3,
Yep.
line 1. Utilities before opening and not allowing new construction at the campground.
Okay.
And then on line 3, no new construction will be allowed until opening.
Okay.
Instead of was. And that's it.
Okay. With those modifications, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve is amended.
We'll talk over each other.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote. Ms. DeWolf?
Aye.
Ms. Newton?
Aye.
Mr. Lyford?
Aye.
And Mr. Silly? Mr. Badger says yes. Moving on. Ashland Water and Sewer, well number 2. Rusty Cross,
Here.
you want to walk us through what's
Sure.
happening?
So we had the annual testing done of the wells, and it came back that it was recommended to pull well 2 to check the pump and redevelop the well to get better flow rate than what the well was supposed to originally was designed to produce.
Okay,
So that is at a cost of $17,830 to do that work.
Rusty,
And this is all based off.
what does it mean by redevelop?
So they pulled the pump and they used some chemicals to clean the well casing and the screen at the bottom, and then flush it all out completely. And then that'll help get a better flow rate out of the screen where the pump draws from.
Okay, thank you.
So is the issue primarily flow rate?
Yes, that, and we need to test the motor and pump to see what kind of wear and what condition it's in. If we do it now, chances are we can rebuild it instead of have to replace it.
Okay. So what does this entail? You said the cost is 17,000. What does this entail, Rusty?
So the well and the motor will be pulled,
Okay,
broken down, tested, checked out, clean the well, pump it, flush it, put everything back together.
okay.
So
But it's not
as
digging
long as-
a hole.
no,
Okay.
no digging or anything. Yeah. So we've already had this done to well 1 a few years ago.
Mhm.
So it's just time to do the second one now.
How long do you expect it to last?
I think it's been 7 or 8 years since we did well 1, so you'd
Okay.
probably get close to 10 years out of it.
Okay,
So we do these tests every year to check the flow rate in the electrical motor part. And when things start showing is when they pull it and to do everything in one shot.
yeah. Okay.
Any other questions from people?
Nope.
Charlie?
No, Alan's trying to join right now, so you know, Eli.
Okay.
Just let him into the room.
Well, let him join before we talk anymore, because obviously Alan has information about the wells.
While we wait a brief second, I guess I can have a follow-up question for general knowledge. Rusty, maybe you can provide to everyone here. When you say flow better, does that mean, I guess in layman terms, that water is going to get to people faster?
Well, it'll be a better flow rate because the pump in the motor is designed to certain gallons per minute.
Mm-hmm.
So redeveloping the well and bringing the well back up to where it will give you more gallons per minute.
We think could prevent less wear and tear on the pump.
True. That also, it won't drag. You won't have the drag in it.
Okay. Rusty, please explain what you mean by drag.
I guess what I mean is so you're getting a more consistent flow with that. You're not pumping more, using more power to pump less water.
Okay. That makes sense.
Did Alan get on?
You should be.
Alan, you there?
Apparently Alan's still having problems. So, okay, in the backup. Moving on.
Do we have to make a motion to have Rusty engage in this?
It is a enterprise fund,
Okay.
and we should ask our town manager.
Well, no, the town manager oversees the budget, so to speak. It never hurts to vote on anything. We really wanted this to be more of an educational experience with the Board of Selectmen, dealing with the enterprise funds and the public in general, on how we maintain. But you feel as though you have to vote, by all means.
Well, it needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
It's part of standard operating procedure.
absolutely.
It's part of ongoing maintenance.
It's part, yes, it is.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things that occurs, and once again, the enterprise funds pay for that,
Mhm,
which means the ratepayer pays for that and not the taxpayer.
mhm.
So
Fine distinction.
Yeah,
I agree with Charlie. This is good information for the public. It's good information for us who do not know some of the ongoing maintenance that water and sewer has to engage in. So we probably don't have to make a motion.
no, I wouldn't think so.
Now, that whoever has to sign the contract will do so.
Okay.
And that would be Rusty for the Ashland Water, Mr. Cross for the Ashland Water Department.
Anything else on this?
Oh, I'm all set.
I'm all set. Thank you, Rusty.
All right.
Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to jump off. You folks have a good night.
You
You
too.
too, yes.
Stay safe.
Next up is our Ashland Town Clerk, tax collector.
I did it, okay, yeah.
Patsy, you're,
What's first on the agenda? I can't remember, the abatement or the,
actually, it's the town clerk appointment, but I would prefer to change that to the abatement
okay?
and get that out of the way.
I'm asking, you got the paperwork, I'm asking for an abatement of $113. What did I say? Where does it say it? Yeah, $132, $132.11. This tax payment was, there was an error when it was paid in December and it went forward to the lien, to be liened. So we are getting a check from from Penny Mac, who is the mortgage holder. And we would need to, would like to abate the $132.11 because they shouldn't have been, it
You
should have
should not
been.
have been charged.
I'll
That's-
move that we grant the abatement.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Call for a roll call vote. Ms. DeWolf,
Aye.
Ms. Newton,
Aye.
is Mr. Silly with us yet? No. Mr. Lyford,
Aye.
and Mr. Badger says aye. So
Okay,
that's
thank you.
it. Okay,
Okay, second on the agenda for me is the deputy town clerk tax collector position. Do you remember,
Yeah.
it's an on-call position with $1,000 stipend going to the person. I had 4 candidates. 1 submitted their application on time. 3 were recruited by outside sources. It is still my contention that Tracy Tucker is the most qualified candidate for this position. And the only reason stated by the board was that because she's my relative. But I just wanted to let you know that the town of Ashland did in recent past just hire a son and father supervisor and underling for that job, for a position in one of the departments. But at this time, I'm going to put forward the name of Jeannette Stewart for your approval.
Is this Jeannette Stewart as deputy town clerk?
That is correct. Town clerk, tax collector. She was one of the applicants that I got.
do we get a chance to talk to her? Is she on?
No, I didn't, none of them are here to talk to.
Well, we didn't get any paperwork.
No, you did not.
package. And
I
that
think we'd
like
like
that
to talk to
paperwork
her.
So I can read over the weekend before the meeting, before I make decisions. I thought that was pretty standard.
It's not, it hasn't been standard for any other position.
No, standard to have the information provided with our agenda package.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is news to me.
Oh, you didn't get it.
then I would suggest we bring Ms. Stewart to our next meeting.
Well, we have, who are the other candidates?
Yeah, good question.
It's, yeah, but I'm putting forward the name that I want, I'm recommending.
Okay, at
You're
this
you're not
time,
picking, you're not picking the candidate. You're just,
no, we are not. I think we understand the procedure.
Good evening, Alan.
Um,
Got here.
You made it.
oh, Alan's finally on?
Yes.
I have no comment, and, we'll move on to I prefer to move on to the next agenda item.
Alan, just to check you up, catch you up a little bit. Mrs. Tucker has put forth Jeannette Stewart as her candidate for the assistant tax collector, town clerk. We have no paperwork on her. We have not had a chance to interview her.
Okay.
Have I summed it up, Patsy?
I didn't realize you that you were going to interview people. It's my choice. So I didn't know why you would interview people.
Well, we have to approve it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm saying that right now, she's the best candidate other than Tracy.
Okay, well,
She's the
we've
one
talked
I'd
to
like to have.
Tracy. We've talked to Tracy. I think it's only fair that we talk to Jeanette.
you're correct, Fran.
I'll have to see if she can call. I'll see if she can call you. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I have no idea how this whole thing would work.
She would get on the agenda for the next meeting, is how it would work.
Or if you can call her right now.
I
I-
prefer not.
I think it should move to the agenda.
I would try to get a hold of her right now, I guess, if you
No,
want me to.
It's
I
gonna
don't
be a-
agree with that.
It's going to be a majority.
Okay, I'll have her on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Ashland Police Department, CRF expenditure.
Chief Olick is here, so I'm going to turn the camera to him.
That's nice.
Sure.
Here he is.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Chief.
There were a couple of things today, but primarily on the agenda is for release of the funds from the capital reserve.
I think you might have to move the computer closer to you.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Okay.
Over here. Chair.
Any better?
Much better.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm here for the release of the funds for the upfitting of the new cruiser, as previously discussed back in, I believe it was February,
Mhm.
where it was approved by the previous board when the other cruiser was ordered. We discussed the upfitting of the cruiser in a minimal way, and so that's what we're here to see if we can authorize the release of the funds to start the process. It's going to take us quite a while to order all that stuff through Ashland Mountain Electronics.
How does this leave the capital reserve if the funds are withdrawn?
So Charlie and I have gone over this. It's slightly over what's in there now. However, with the authorization from the town and the vote for the town from this last vote, about 30,000 is coming in. So Charlie had a plan for how to make that all kind of work.
I'll jump in. Basically, I think short like of $2,000. We would just ask the trustees for reimbursement later in the year.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So-
we know that the money is all there in the long run, but with it just coming in through the vote, it's not
Right, right.
available at the current moment. But again, I think Charlie was right. It's right around $2,000.
The way we we generally handle it is we don't pay for cash flow and administration. We don't pay the trustees until December when the second billing goes out. There's more funds in the budget, et cetera, is when we try to pay the trustees.
So if we release the money now, do we not have to pay it until it's completed?
No, we pay through the town side before, and then we go to the trustees for reimbursement for the expense.
Oh, okay. So this would come out of our budget until we got reimbursed.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
How long does it take to get it outfitted, Will?
I don't know exactly what their turnaround is. I mean, they have to order all the parts.
Yeah.
They have to order the pieces and get them made. So I'm not 100%. Based on previous experience, we're talking a few months,
Okay.
probably, given that it's going to take them a little bit to get the parts.
Okay.
They're going to have to prepare on the schedule, and then once the parts come in.
Well, this was already agreed to, correct? This outfitting?
Yes.
In that case, I'll make a motion to release $7,999.98 from the capital reserve funds for upfitting the cruiser.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Eli, I have some.
Mr. Lyford?
All the minutes I've read on this approval of the car and the videos I've watched, nothing mentioned putting a radar unit in a civilian model car. And I have an issue with outfitting this as a police cruiser when it's not a police package model. There's distinct variations between a civilian car and a police cruiser package.
Could you explain the difference?
Sure. I've been in contact with the sales rep where the car came from. And there's 14 different specs that come in a police cruiser and not a civilian package. One is severe duty engine cooling because the car's running all the time and the demand's there. Performance steering, larger rotor and brakes, larger alternator, police ABS, four-wheel duty, rear end, rain brake support, all speed control. And then if we're putting all of this police stuff and radar into a cruiser and then we don't have it marked, I believe it was last year New Hampton had a problem with somebody impersonating a cruiser on 132 that wasn't marked, stopping cars. So I have an issue with it also not being marked. I think it's an accountability thing.
If I remember correctly, this was not going to be used as a cruiser. It was going to be an administrative vehicle. I believe that was the exact way you presented this to us. Any chief and anybody would have to be Fran and Eli that.
You are correct, but I'd like Will to address Jamie's concerns about the fact that it's unmarked and so forth.
Chief?
So as we previously discussed, this is the primary purpose of this vehicle is for administrative functions. However, it is a police car with a police officer driving it, and we would have our hands severely tied in certain scenarios if we weren't putting simple basic things like lights and a radar and a radio, things of that nature in the car. I can give a perfect example to that, where the car, its primary function is not going to be for patrol use. So the cooling of the engine, it's not running all the time. It's not a typical upgraded engine to go chase cars down, things of that nature. But does it happen on occasion? Sure, that kind of stuff happens on occasion. And I'll give you a prime example. Last year, 2 years ago, I was on my way to court in Plymouth. on North Ashland Road. I had a car come around a turn at 72 miles an hour. Now, if I was in this car for administrative function going to court, and I had a car come around at 72 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone without their radar and without blue lights in the car, that car is going to be just going about its merry way, and I would be severely limited in what I could do. So we're trying to put an absolute basic package in the car to allow us to do our job as we need to do it. So again, as we previously discussed, this is not a frontline car. This is not a car that's primary function is out stopping cars. It's going to Haverhill, it's going to Concord, it's for investigations, it's for training, it's for things like that, and not to go and respond to calls. Will it respond to calls? At some point, sure it will. Will it stop cars? At some point, it's inevitable that that will happen. But that's not its primary function. So that's why I think we opted to go with a civilian model, primarily because the cost is much less expensive. It was available to us. It was the least expensive option for what we were looking for. And by upfitting it this way, it's going to save a significant amount of money in the process.
So are you gonna have any markings on it at all?
No,
No, what did you just say, like Town of Ashland?
no, the plates will indicate that it's a police vehicle, but we weren't going to mark it up at all.
So it's kind of,
As we talked about in February.
so it's like an unmarked police car?
Correct.
The issue I have with it being unmarked is I understand some departments may run a civilian car as an admin car, but you have a radar in the car. You got polished aluminum wheels on the car, which you don't see any police cruisers. If my daughter had a car like that, stop her, I'd recommend her not stopping. It doesn't look like a police cruiser. And the radar unit, if you stop a car, you never know how that stop's gonna go. You might end up in a pursuit. So we got a civilian vehicle that's now needed for as a police package, and we don't have it. And the cost difference, I mean, Holderness just bought a police package, a Dodge Charger last year for $25,000. So we're talking $1,000, $2,000 difference, and we could have had the vehicle we needed for the townspeople.
Well, that comes with the upfitting also. They're upfitting their car is significantly more expensive than what we're looking to do, as far as I'm aware. They're for different purposes. That's the best I can tell you. Again, this was already discussed back in February, so. The rest
Now
of the-
that's what I was saying. We already have the car, so that was approved. It's been delivered. It's in our possession. So this is just to put the piece of equipment in it. I understand what Jamie said, because, you know, we have some bad operators out there that get police uniforms and get badges and so that these stops. I can understand that. I might feel more secure if we just had something on the vehicle that said Collison. But I'm not gonna stop the business in front of us, which is to approve this equipment package with that thought. But I welcome Fran or Eli, since they were on the board that approved this purchase, if they have any other thoughts.
No, it's Chief Ulwick explained it last year. And we accepted his use at that time.
How about you, Fran?
No, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
I appreciate Jamie raising concerns, and I think we got good answers.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote. Ms. DeWolf, Ms. Newton,
Aye.
Mr. Silly,
Aye.
Mr. Lyford,
Nay.
Mr. Badger says aye. Motion carries 4-1.
I did have one more thing. We mentioned back with this whole start of the COVID about a hazard pay for the officers here.
Yes,
We talked about revisiting that after the governor's order. And so that would be now, I guess. With the state being open to a limited basis, and then starting the rollout process for getting the state back open to a full extent, I think we're going to be interacting with a lot more people than we have been. And I would ask the board that we extend that until, say, I mean, we can revisit at the beginning of June to see how much more is open then. But I think that our folks over here deserve, with the risk of interacting with people more and more as it comes up, if the board would approve that going through January 1, and then we can revisit it at the meeting, I'm sorry, June 1, and then we can revisit at the meeting following that to kind of see where things stand then.
I believe the next benchmark is May 31st to be by the governor. We have the meeting June 1st.
I'm not sure when the next board meeting is following that off the top of my head.
June 1st.
June 1st, yeah.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
I understand the purpose of it, but oh man, we've got to watch our budget lines. It's kind of scary.
Can I just say something? I believe the governor put something through today, giving $300 to EMTs, police officers, and emergency personnel.
responders.
Oh, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
Full-time. I heard right before our meeting that it was full-time emergency responders are to get an extra $300 a week.
Through August, I believe it said.
Well, wouldn't you be considered a first responder?
Say that again, Fran?
Wouldn't you be considered a first responder?
We would.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I just asked too.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of this. I've been tied up with I had a pretty big accident on Main Street that I was tied up with for a couple hours. So I didn't hear that. I didn't get to see the governor's updates today. So I don't know.
Thank you, Ann.
It is, check out the updates. It is there.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think that may cover that for.
Feel better.
Yeah.
That will certainly cover that for the month.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from me?
I don't know.
I think that covers my end of things.
Okay.
So I'll put Charlie back in the hot seat over here, and thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank
still
you
be-
all.
Thank
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Yes,
I'm
thank
still here.
you.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that was breaking news. That
Yeah.
literally just happened at like 3:30.
Wonderful.
They haven't got everything.
I now understand we have a case in Ashland.
Yeah, I heard that last Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Next up
Steve Jaquith.
is Mr. Jakewith.
Hello, good evening.
Pointed to
Steve,
the Memorial Park.
Yeah,
welcome to our new world.
yeah, I've been listening in.
That's good.
Well, Steve has done an admirable job over the years. I have no questions to ask for him.
not a one.
Not one. I'm very thankful he came forward and asked to be reappointed.
Mhm.
So I'll make the motion to appoint Steve Jaquith as the memorial, 3-year Memorial Park trustee.
And I will happily second that. Thank you, Steve, for all you've done.
You're quite welcome anytime.
Oh, don't say that.
I've
I
got
got a
nothing
job
else to
for
do
you.
now. I got plenty of time on my hands right now.
Oh,
Hearing a first and second, is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Ms. DeWolf,
aye.
Ms. Newton,
Aye.
Mr. Silly,
Aye.
Mr. Lyford,
Aye.
Mr. Badger says aye.
Are you gonna swear him in right now?
I think you should.
Yeah.
Thank you for the boost, and I just have that page up. I needed a moment to catch my breath so that I can get through this. Mr. Jakeworth,
Yes,
do you solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a Memorial Park trustee according to the best of your abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire? So help you God.
absolutely.
This you will do under the pain and penalties of perjury. So on this date, I set forth my hand to appoint you as the Memorial Park trustee.
And with our thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Stay safe,
And
Steve.
with that, I guess if that's all you need from me, you have a good evening and enjoy what's left of it.
Thank you. and
You
stay
too.
safe.
So,
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Steve.
bye. Next up, let me see, just make sure that I got it right. We have
4th of July committee.
the 4th of July committee. Is there anybody here from the 4th of July committee?
David Rule, but I didn't know we were supposed to do anything.
Just an update.
Kendall Hughes and Deb are both on as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And Ann Barney.
Okay.
And Ann
And
Martin?
Ann Barney as well. Are there any other 4th of July members on? All right. I talked to both the police chief and the fire chief, and we're both all still on the same page, waiting for the governor to make his decision. We're ready to go in any one of those 3 directions. Just waiting for June 1st.
As we all are.
Yeah. You know, they're starting to open stuff up, and we won't know until a week or so how things, what trend they're headed towards. So it's just a waiting game.
Okay. Yeah, we all wait.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I really wish I could say something else, but that's,
Well, we wish you could
That's
too. We
really
wish we
it.
could.
yeah.
I lost my crystal ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
I keep hearing that the social distancing will be kept in place through August
Mhm.
at any point. So,
I agree.
and this concerns me with with a couple of things that Ashland has to deal with. Are we, board, are we willing to wait for another week, 2 weeks?
I'm not comfortable.
Well, I'm not comfortable. If I had to make a decision right now, I'd say cancel it. You know, my question all along was how soon in advance do we need to cancel it? I share your concerns, Eli, and I personally could not envision going to an event with several thousand people at this point, given that the numbers are still increasing in New Hampshire overall and in Grafton specifically, and now that we have a case in Ashland, it changes on a daily basis. And you're right, social distancing is going to be in place for quite some time. So if I had to make a decision right now, I'd say cancel it, postpone it, whatever. I'm willing to wait for that decision until we have more data, as long as we're not out money, out, all kinds of other things. We've been assured that we have time to make all of those decisions and still come forward with the reverse parade or a postponement or whatever. So do we need to make a decision right today? I'm not sure. If I had to, I'd say no.
I think we have to accept that the traditional 4th of July with people gathering at the ballpark to view the fireworks will not be happening this year.
I would tend to agree with that, Kathleen.
So I don't see any point of kicking that can down the road. The reverse parade, that's something totally different. I'm willing to wait until June, but we really need, I would prefer to make a decision tonight. I don't think the rest of the board probably is, but in all fairness, people have to know, I think it's only fair that the committee should know what they can prepare to do and work on that, and not just hope that somehow something's going to change, because I don't think it is. As Eli said, the social distancing right now, it doesn't look like they aren't even going to open up beaches.
Well, they've opened them up in some states. I'm not sure that was a good
I'm talking
idea.
about,
I've personally canceled 2 vacation plans for June, because I'm not comfortable with risking my safety and my health. And I certainly would not go to the 4th of July to view the fireworks, even if we decide that it's safe at this point.
and we have to make the decision.
We do.
We have to make a prudent decision for the health and safety of the residents of the town or anybody else who may be passing through. We can't provide protection. I don't even know how
If I
we
may?
provide protection for the detail workers that come from other towns. Would we have to have sanitation centers? Would everybody have to still wear a mask? I just don't see how we can handle this. If you get your finger up, so just hold on. I think we need to face the reality. The traditional 4th of July celebration in Ashland cannot happen with the COVID issue this year.
So if I may, I fully disagree. Until the governor says what he wants us to do, we can't make a decision. So I would urge you to wait until the governor tells us yes or no. He's going to do that in the next few weeks. We have the time to wait. So why don't we wait and do that? And if people want to stay home, then they're going to stay home. Many people watch the fireworks from their house. I personally would prefer to watch them from my house because I have a better view of them than I do at the ballpark. But I'm not even sure we're going to do fireworks because we don't know. We simply don't know because we don't have the information. Once we have the information, we can make an informed decision. But until then, we can't make an informed decision without having the information from the state. And on the conference call today, they were talking that they're going to start opening the state by June, including beaches and campgrounds and everything else. They opened the campgrounds already.
Would
With
they
all
have
due
limit-
respect, with
Mr.
all due respect to the governor, and I have applauded the governor because he's taken some, very cautious stances. Just because he decides to open up something doesn't mean that it's safe. Unfortunately, we don't know that it's safe until it's been opened and people either get sick or they don't. I mean, I'm watching Georgia, for example, and the governor has made decisions to open things that I never would have opened. And again, I'm not trying to get into political decisions here, but you don't know until we have evidence that either it has been safe or it's not been safe. We get an increase in cases. Regardless of what the governor says, we as a town have responsibility to our citizens. And again, I'm willing to wait, Kendall. I am willing to wait 1 month, but I am very, very, very cautious about just letting the governor decide what's going to be safe. If we have open fireworks and we have 2,000 people coming and one person has the COVID, we risk exposing our citizens and citizens of surrounding towns. So, let's not be too blasé about saying, well, the governor is going to be making a decision and everything's going to be cool. We unfortunately don't know what's going to happen once he opens things up. We've got to be cautious. So again, I'm willing to put it off and make a decision in another month, but I'm going to be coming down real hard if it's the least bit of chance that we're still at risk. And as I said, we just got a case in Ashland. The cases in Grafton County have increased recently. And I wish to God that, we were done, but we're not.
I agree. My question is, right now, if we cancel it now, there's no going back. If we wait a while and make that decision, then fine. But I mean, we can't go backwards. If you cancel it today, that's it. And who knows what could happen. Do I think we're going to have the fireworks? I don't. I don't think we are, but I think it's too early to make that decision. And it doesn't take as long to cancel things as to get them up and going.
And that's why I've asked all along how much time we need to cancel it. And that's why I said I'm willing to wait 1 more month.
But till our June meeting?
As long as we have not wasted any money, made any promises, we're just waiting to see what happens. But I'm telling you, if there's the slightest chance that there's going to be an additional infections, then we cancel. So
it's 30 days to cancel the fireworks?
It's 15 days to cancel the fireworks, but we can make that decision on June 1st.
Okay.
And remember that 2 of our options were to not have fireworks, but to promote having your own backyard barbecue where you're socially distancing with your own families and doing your own thing for the 4th of July.
Well, that's a private choice to do, not even.
It is a private thing, but it's what the committee would sponsor would be a celebration at your own place in lieu of everyone getting together due to the COVID situation.
And I think that's great. And I think we should leave that as an option.
Exactly.
Health officer, what are you feeling?
Eli, I'd like to make a comment if you don't mind. If this is a highly contested subject.
Sure.
I'd like to weigh in that the 4th of July is not just any day. I mean, there are 2 days in our calendars that don't move. One is Christmas and the other is 4th of July, and there's reasons for that. These 2 dates define who we are. And the 4th of July is the date that as a society we all received inalienable rights, an important remembrance. And, it's Ronald Reagan who reminded us that our liberties is never more than 1 generation away from being eradicated. And with that as a background, I understand that, we're in a serious situation and it may be necessary to cancel the 4th of July. However, every effort should be made to understand the situation clearly and not do anything prematurely to cancel such an important event. So if there is time, we ought to avail ourselves of that time before a decision is made. It's summer coming. One of the things we've learned about this virus is it doesn't like the sunshine and it doesn't like the humidity. And we really don't know where it's going to go between now and then, even though it's only a couple of short months away. So I would weigh in strongly on reserving the decision to cancel it until there's no other opportunity and it's clear that going ahead would not be safe. Thank you.
Charlie, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, look, from a health officer perspective, if you want to stay safe, then stay home. Right? I mean, don't forget the stay-at-home order is still in effect. I mean, the governor, yeah, he did ease up on restrictions, but there's still a stay-at-home order that's in effect.
Yes.
Whether that gets released in a month, I don't know.
Mr. Silly, do you have anything to say? You have anything to add?
Well, a little bit. I could also make a decision tonight as well, but I am willing to say wait to the last minute.
Okay.
This committee has put a lot of time and effort into this, and I would hate to cut them short. So I'm just saying June 1st is okay with me.
It's a very difficult decision on both ends. Mr. Lyford.
I say wait till the June 1st meeting and see where it is then.
The consensus would be to wait till June 1st.
Yes.
That's what I've heard from people. Okay, moving on.
Thank you to the 4th of July committee for hanging in there. I know this is a tough year, but I appreciate your efforts and I appreciate your flexibility.
You're welcome, and I like to add that we also want a very safe event, and if it
I'm
can't
sure.
be that way, then we will cancel it, but we
Thank
appreciate
you.
waiting till the last moment.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
And Barney had sent an email with the board
Miss Barney.
on Friday. She sent it on Friday about the campground.
Yes. I wanted to talk to you guys about reconsidering open the campground before June 1st. There's been the governor has opened it up for campgrounds, and there are other campgrounds in the area. And I feel like I would be able to have them be safe. You know, we may have to implement some more rules as far as immediate family and stuff like that, but leave the bathhouse not open. They all have water, sewer, electric, so they should all be able to be self-contained and take care of themselves. The other campgrounds are going to open, and they're 100? We have 23 who are here every single year for the most part. I was just looking to try to get them in as early as I could. So I was thinking the 15th. I've talked to Rusty. He'd be able to get the water. The electric would be fine. They wouldn't have the bathhouse with the showers and the laundry.
Okay, you did. Ann, did you read the stay-at-home 2.0 from the governor?
Yes, I did. I have it right here.
What does it say about the number of campers we can have?
It doesn't say exactly, and it is for state only. Private can do what they want, they say. I mean, he did say in there that he's not having any, for the state ones, no Massachusetts, unless they're members, which all of ours are members. Well, they're seasonal, so they're basically members. So there's no specific number. But even if they did 50% at the other campgrounds, that's more than double of what we would have at ours.
I agree with you, Ann. I read Ames Brooks, their guidelines. Good luck with these other private campgrounds trying to enforce out-of-state people coming in and limiting the campers. I can't even imagine how they're gonna enforce that. But as long as the bathhouse is closed and the campers are self-contained, I don't have any issue with you opening up the campground before June 1st. But I think we still need to maintain that people do not stop building anything new up there, because we have some issues we have to address when the building inspector gets back into the office on Fridays.
Well, if you guys agreed to this, what I would do is the same thing I did before, is send an email, and then anybody I didn't hear back from in an email, I got on the phone, I called everybody, talked to them all individually. I would have rules set up, you know, telling them we can't use the bathhouse. We're not going to be able to use the washers and dryers until, I don't know when. I mean, it could be the whole summer, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, we haven't made a decision on the beach yet. I'm hoping that opens mid-June, but going, at least letting them in and getting stuff going would be helpful for them as well as us. And they should all know that before any building gets done anyway, they have to have permits because it's in the contracts.
I think that all sounds good, Ann.
Yeah,
And
I do. I agree.
I'd be happy with all of that.
Yeah, me too.
So do you guys want to vote so I can open the 15th?
I'll make a motion that you can open the campground on the 15th of May, given the conditions that the bathhouse is closed, and they will understand the rules of procedure in terms of building.
I'll second that.
It's been first and seconded. Any further discussion?
Could someone from the campground that uses it make a comment?
Please identify yourself.
My name is Laura Briere. I am on Site 21. I think we've been there for 2 years. I'm concerned because maybe I misread the guidelines, but I thought it was a 50% occupancy, first of all.
And under
Second of all,
9, yes, and under 9,
I'm sorry?
and under section 9,
Yeah.
it's number 3. It says of the governor's guidelines, it was camping must be limited to 50% of the campsites in a campground or to every other site.
That's for state,
Right.
not
That's for
private.
state, yeah.
That's
Okay.
governor's guidelines.
I wasn't sure exactly which way that you consider the Ashland a private, not a state then.
Yes.
Okay, so that's my first question. The second of all is I find we're there most of the time. My girls basically spend the summer there. We find that people have a really hard time just following some of the rules, and that's to each his own. And we do use the beach, so not having the beach available to us kind of ruins it for us, because the beach is handicap accessible. That's one of the reasons this campground works so well for us. So, yeah, I'm waiting to see what your decision eventually will be, because that affects the summer for us. I mean, just to sit on the campsite for the summer doesn't really work for our family, because we are there basically full time from June 1st to August.
I can tell you what my hopes and plans are. I am still planning on getting my lifeguards, having lifeguards on duty. What may happen is, just like not being able to open the bathhouse, may not be able to open the snack shack.
Right.
And maybe not the bathrooms there. I'm not sure how that works, honestly. I was
Totally understand.
what I was thinking was opening one and getting some special spray stuff. So whoever's running the gate, not because we wouldn't have food, they would have time to, okay, somebody, you know, once every half hour, go spray everything down. That's my hope. I'm shooting for June, the middle of June, just like any other time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Great. And I do want to make a comment to the board. Anne has gotten some very unique emails, and she has dealt with them in an extremely professional manner, considering the bullying and abuse she's had to deal with. And I commend you on, Anne, on your finesse on dealing with that. And please, I hope you don't take it personally from the people that have sent that, because it astounded us what people write to you.
No, thank you.
She's never
You're
shared
welcome.
that with
Nice
us.
to hear. It's nice to get positive feedback.
I really, my family was absolutely astounded, and I know I wrote one. I think my daughter wrote a note back. Anne has been very good about it, and we can't believe the way people have behaved. Speaking to Anne, knowing that it's actually the board that makes the decision, but it's been pretty abusive.
Well, we're here to support Ian whenever we can.
We're grateful for all the work that Ann does.
And Anne has. She's been wonderful at it. So I want you to realize I see that from what she's been sharing with us. And some of them, she's just done a great job on that.
Thank you.
Hello, could I speak as well? My name is Kevin McDonough. I'm also at the campground on site number 11.
Please do.
Okay, first of all, I appreciate the situation that you're experiencing. I don't live in New Hampshire, but I've been up at the campground now for 10 years. I also think that Ann has done a great job. I do disagree with the fact that I don't think that she's been treated unfairly. Sometimes there's topics that come up that are heated or people might have opposing viewpoints, but certainly I think everybody tries to be respectful of Ann's position, even if in fact there might be disagreement at some points. She's done a great job, you know, I think doing the best for the campground community, as well as representing the best interests of the town. And you know, it's a beautiful place, and we all enjoy it. I also want to make a couple of comments. First of all, on some of the guidelines that the governor had implemented relative to campgrounds. I believe the exception for Massachusetts residents was geared towards campgrounds where there's a transient community coming and going.
I believe you're correct.
Right.
That's how I read it too.
Okay. So, I mean, certainly with the Ashland campground that we're, you know, lucky enough to spend our summers and with, it's a situation that's well spread out. As Ann had already mentioned, everybody has their own toilet facilities and running water. And certainly everybody, you know, will be more than willing to adhere to the social distancing and all the other requirements that the town or the state might have. As far as some of the construction that's going on, I'm actually the guilty party because I had a contractor that was replacing the deck up there. I was under the impression that he had pulled the necessary permits, and apparently he thought that I had pulled the permits, so I'm guilty as charged for that. I have reached out to the building inspector a couple of different times, trying to make that right. And we certainly, since we were asked to stop, we did immediately at that time and have left it in that place. But I have reached out to the building inspector a couple of times, and I think he only works on Fridays. So obviously with this pandemic and everything else, it's a little bit more of a difficult situation, but I definitely want to rectify that and once again apologize that there was some confusion. I always, I'm actually the chairman of the Board of Health in the city of Woburn, I used to be on the city council, so I'm well aware of the permitting process. And down here, it's always falls on the responsibility of the contractor to pull those permits. So that's why I assume that had happened. But I thank you for your time and consideration, and appreciate everything you've been doing for us as a campground community up there.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
So Ann, I guess you've got something to keep you busy.
Yep.
Oh, just, anything, just let us know.
Need the vote.
Let Charlie know because everything's, still in flux. I realize this is a lot of people's homes for the summer. Some of them probably may even be in Florida and have to vacate those premises, and part of their yearly trek was to come up here for the beginning of May. So we'll try to accommodate them the best that we can. And this is all new for everybody here, and we're going to do our best.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else, Ann?
Nope. I will start making phone calls tomorrow. If you guys, did you vote?
No.
Okay, we'll vote first.
Take a vote.
I think we made a motion to open it on the 15th, and it was seconded.
And then we had
A
comments.
discussion.
So any other comment? Mr. Badger, proceed.
Mr. Silly, do you have anything?
I'm good to go.
Mr. Lyford?
No.
In that case, roll call. Mr. Wolf,
Aye.
Ms. Newton,
Aye.
Mr. Silly,
Aye.
Mr. Lyford,
Aye.
Mr. Badger says no.
Okay.
Passes 4-1.
Mhm.
Moving on. Anything else? And under new business.
No, sir.
Old business.
I thought this started at 6:30.
Any
We
old
have
business?
some things on the agenda. Ashland Community Garden.
Ashland Community Garden.
Okay. I had a teleconference or video conference today with Miriam Brown Almore and Hannah Holmes. Hannah is new to Ashland as of late last summer and has a lot of experience in gardening, and she had expressed an interest in working in the community garden. And Miriam is still very enthusiastic about making it work. So I left it with the two of them to come up with a plan. They definitely want to keep the garden going. I suggested to them that I would bring it to the board and ask at least for town support until or unless, assuming that they come up with a plan, unless they don't. Opening it up to the community. Again, the assumption is that more people are wanting to put in vegetable gardens given the uncertainty about the food supply these days. So they're both very enthusiastic about getting it going, and they're going to get together and come up with a plan for me that I will then present to the board. I, of course, support the continuing of the community garden because I think it could be an asset to Ashland. We've put a lot of time and effort and money into it, and I would hate to see it just mowed over or plowed under. I would ask, if we get it going, could we ask the town for the supply of water yet again? The water department, when it was in existence, kindly supplied the water. And I would hope that would continue, given that we will not be operating with any kind of funding, because the HEAL funding, I won't go there. It's gone. Previously we had charged $5 to $10 per plot. Last year we charged nothing. but they have no funding. So I would hope that the town would continue to supply water. They have everything else they need right now. They have equipment, a lawnmower and a shed and a hose and hoses and everything else. We're going to take a look at some of the beds that have apparently deteriorated over the winter, but they both want to keep this garden going. And I would just ask at this point that the board support their efforts. And I said I would continue to act as a liaison until or unless we know we can't move this thing forward. So.
That's good to hear, Fran. I don't think we should charge people to use the garden.
I don't
And
either.
I would support providing the water.
Mhm.
It's just how quickly that will be taken over by those invasives that took so much effort to get rid of, that are creeping along the edges. So if we have interested parties who want to go in there and plant, and like you said, this is a trending topic now. With everything that's going on, that we continue to welcome people to use it for this season.
Thank you. Both Miriam and Hannah have extensive expertise in gardening, and I'm sure that they will be looking at the invasive things. You know, Dave and I particularly are working very hard on putting in our own garden, and again, I know more and more people are doing that, again, given the uncertainty about our food supply. But I think we should hang in there for another year and see if we can't keep this thing going. And I appreciate your thoughts about the water, because again, there's no funding anymore. And I don't want to charge people if they want to come over and use this facility at the benefit of the town. You know, the town supplied the land. I'd like to see the town supply the water and let people pay for their own plants and seeds and fertilizer and whatever. Other thoughts?
Do you want this done by motion about the water?
I think it should be. It's a town asset.
What is the average cost? Do you remember?
I do not.
I don't believe it was that high, but
It's not that high. Maybe
It
Eli.
wasn't that much.
No.
But once again, you have to remember that it's an enterprise fund. So ask the superintendent.
Or the town manager.
Isn't it, Fran?
In absence of the superintendent, who's no longer on the call.
I highly doubt they would use anything more than a couple $100 in water.
Okay.
I mean,
and we can find it in the budget line somewhere.
I could probably find it for this. Yes.
Then I'll make a motion that we continue the community garden for another year, and that the water and sewer department turn on the water for the participants to use. And the town manager will move that information forward. That's just an add-on. That's not part of the motion.
Do I hear a second to at least part of what she said?
Seconded.
You're in the first. Any further discussion?
Did you get that all, Charlie?
Allow water supply community garden.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Simple enough.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. DeWolf.
Aye.
Ms. Newton.
Abstain.
Ms. Silly. Mr. Silly.
Aye.
Mr. Lyford.
Aye.
Mr. Badger says yes.
Thank you. And at this point, I would like it in the record that we are inviting anybody who is interested, and I will put out information on the website, to contact the two women involved in setting this thing up. If anyone is interested in a garden plot, to please contact us as soon as I get you the information. I don't know if we'll have sign-up sheets given the social distancing issues that we face, but maybe we can put up a poster. I mean, we're getting to planting season, so I would like to encourage the public to think about participating in this garden. I mean, it's a lonely activity, so you don't need to worry about social distancing when you come and take care of your own plot. So more to come. Thank you very much.
Maybe Mr. Rule can put it in the Ashland column in the paper.
That would be wonderful. I would appreciate that.
Fran, how many,
Could you do that, David?
Well, you'd have to give me the information of who they contact and how they do that.
I will get that information to you, David. We have an email, but they can also contact the town. But I will put out that email, which I don't have at my fingertips right now.
Fran, how many plots are available?
We had 22. I understand from Miriam that a couple of them need some repair, and we're going to, Dave and Tom Almore are going to be investigating how much kind of repair that needs. But we have at least 20 plots available.
Okay.
And it, you know, again, it's organic gardening. That's the only requirement. So we have a shed, we have a lawnmower, we have a trimmer, we have water, we have hoses, we have everything you need except your labor.
And it doesn't have to just be vegetables. It can be flowers.
No, it can be flowers, it can be anything. Yep, as long as it's, we're not putting down nasty pesticides and herbicides.
Okay, moving on. Annual review. What?
Yeah, I was gonna say this last one's me.
This last one is you. Go for it. Give it a title.
Yeah, it's just a annual review of town investment policy.
My God, you got it right.
Yeah. The RSA, the clerk told me we shall do it, and it's RSA 41:9/7.
So this is the first time I've been involved in this. Unfortunately, it hasn't been reviewed since 2016.
It's every year.
Yeah.
But it has not been reviewed. It says the last review date was August 1, 2016. We didn't do this last year. That being said,
There was a former selectman, I remember, that had great umbrage with some stuff and questioned what type of banks we had, I believe.
oh, yes, okay.
And well, I'm quite sure we reviewed this. To be honest with you, I don't even know why this is kind of our responsibility when all the deposits are with the treasurer. We don't invest money unless you really consider money market an investment, which is really just interest.
Isn't that the trustees?
It's a policy.
It's all it is, yeah.
It's a policy. It is our job to work with policy.
So reading this, everything looked good to me, but I don't know what I'm really supposed to be looking at other than the RSAs, the statute. Everything else to me looks like it makes sense. And quite a bit of it also is taken out of RSAs.
Don't we have Amanda Loud on the call?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, you do. I was sitting here. I've got,
Yay.
hi, this is Amanda Loud. I'm trustee of the trust funds.
Mhm.
My understanding, I looked into this last year when I was a Scribner trustee because of how the Scribner trust was invested. And I wanted to know what the parameters were because I found some things that, in my opinion, were fairly disturbing with the Scribner Trust, and I found similar things with other trusts now that I'm trustee of the trust fund. So I questioned, you know, what are the guidelines for the trustees of the trust funds, because I did have a town policy in front of me, which did not coincide with how I saw funds being invested. Now, the trustees of the trust funds have filed, and I got a copy of it, and it's very sound, I would like to add, and it's been approved by the Attorney General's office, I would also like to add. So the trustees of the trust funds are not bound to follow the town investment policy where it concerns trust funds. However, the town investment policy, as far as I'm understanding this and talking with, various New Hampshire authorities, the town investment policy governs how specifically the CRFs are going to be invested. That's a separate category of funds that are bound to be invested only per town investment policy, which I would like to add is extremely conservative. The CRFs are in money market funds. So they're extremely stable. It's paying basically nothing. I think it's just one step above sticking it in a mattress right now. But those are the ones that are binding all the CRFs. The town investment policy does not bind the Blake Fund, the Memorial Park Fund, the cemetery, or any of the what I'm calling minor funds that are for the benefit of the library, such as Doggett and whatnot. Those are not bound by the town investment policy. They are bound by the New Hampshire State Municipal Trustees of the Trust Fund policy. I kind of made that up. I'm not quite sure what the exact title is, but it's something like that. And those policies that the trustees of the trust funds, those policies are reviewed by trustees of the trust funds in all the towns annually or semi-annually, and they are submitted and are on file with the Attorney General's office. And I looked at the policy that Ashland has for the trust funds, and there's nothing problematic at all with it. It follows the prudent man rule, which is kind of the general category of just don't go do something really stupid with it, and there's nothing objectionable at all with that. I would say that, one's opinion of what is prudent is not necessarily everyone's opinion of what is prudent given certain times and situations and economic turmoils and whatnot. So, but as far as the town policy, it's extremely conservative, and it is binding only on the CRFs, which are all in money market funds and Meredith Village Savings Bank.
Thank you,
so-
Amanda. That's the first time this has really been explained to me, and I truly appreciate getting this information.
Anytime.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to have communication.
So Amanda, it says on Roman numeral 2, scope. The funds are accounted for in the town's annual audited financial reports and include the following: the general fund, special revenue funds, capital project funds, enterprise funds, agency funds, and any new funds created by the town who is specifically exempted by the governing body in accordance with law or bylaw. So this is just the town's money.
Town funds. It's not the
town's money.
Trust funds. It's CRF.
Trust funds are a totally different animal. So tonight we are to review the town's funds.
Right. Yeah. The town, the BOS has no say, no legal say in how the trustees of the trust funds invest and manage trust funds. They're apple and oranges, unless there seems to be some malfeasance going on, and then of course that would mean it's been illegal. So somebody's going to get to come in and change things, and figure out what's going on. And I would also just like to go on record here very publicly as saying, I have found nothing so far, in my opinion, that is anywhere near illegal. Everything has been completely on the up and up with the trust funds that I have found in doing my research. My opinion is I think they've been invested extremely aggressively. I'm seeing that particularly now with drops, some Blake Fund particularly aggressively. It's all stocks. There's no bonds in it at all. It's an unbalanced fund. Because of that, it's had some great gains over the years. Last I saw it was down 22%. But if you looked at the Memorial Park Fund, for example, which is a balanced fund, it has both stocks and bonds in it. When stocks are up, bonds are down, historically speaking. When bonds are up, stocks are down. So it's a nice balance to have like a 60-40 or 70-30 or something like that balance in the fund. That has not been as aggressively invested. It has not grown as quickly, but it's also only down 12% as opposed to the 22% hit that the Blake Fund has taken. So the Scribner Trust is now at $87,000. When I came before you with concern in my voice, it was at $96,000. So it has, as I explained last year, nothing is illegal, and I want to make that extremely clear. But it's invested more like someone who's saving for retirement, an IBM executive saving for retirement at age 40 and wants to put away 100 grand, and here we go, and wants to let it sit for 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
The Scribner Fund has never been meant to sit for 20 or 25 years. It's being spent annually to support the building, and it really should be invested more like someone who's, say, 65 or 70 and is using that money to live on. So in other words, needs to be, in my opinion, invested in a much more conservative manner that would not have it drop as it's dropping. There's some junk bonds, high yield junk bonds are in all the trusts that I found so far, which are not illegal. They're a great way to make a lot of money. They're a great way to lose a lot of money. They're very volatile. So anyway, I would just say, we have a meeting on May 11th of the Scribner trustees, followed by a meeting for the trust funds. And my concern is just the way the town trust funds have been, and I'm just speaking for Amanda Lau, this is an individual opinion, the way that the funds have been invested in the past has been very aggressive, and it has had very high fees, which have been shooting it in its foot, and it's been aggressively invested and has not earned well because of the fees. And I think it could do a lot better. And unfortunately, with the downturn that we're seeing right now, and I was concerned about this, but I certainly didn't think it would be a pandemic that did it. Things are really very low. Lost a lot of money, heavy losses, and the losses are due to a history of overspending with Scribner, and then a history of having just some very aggressive investments. Unbalanced.
This is the first time we.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
Again.
This is like investment 101.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be able to use skills and knowledge that I have for my town, so I appreciate it.
What are we to do with this? Are we to take a vote to accept the policy and date it so we're fulfilling our duty?
That would be what we should do.
Well, given what Amanda has assured us that it's a sound policy, I guess I would move that we accept the investment policy.
I'll second that.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. We'll start with Mr. Lyford this time.
Aye.
Mr. Silly.
Aye.
Ms. Newton.
Aye.
Ms. DeWolf.
Aye.
Mr. Badger says aye. Motion passes. We now have reviewed the investment policy number 37 for the year 2020.
Yes, please make sure the date's reflected before it's filed away.
Okay. Are there any other select board items?
Yes, I would just like to profoundly thank Craig Moore and the DPW and GMI Paving. As a resident of Smith Hill Road and frequent traveler of Thompson Street, I am thrilled beyond belief. I know we got a letter of thanks from some neighbors, but I gotta tell you, I didn't think in my lifetime I would see these roads look that good. I'm not under the illusion that they're gonna last for a very long time, but man, oh man, thank you, Craig, and all of your staff and GMI for doing such an amazing job.
I took a ride Friday and I started at the River Street end, which was no longer the roller coaster.
Yep.
I even went up Smith Hill. It was almost surreal.
It's
It-
unbelievable.
it
My
is.
neck thanks you. My kidneys thank you. My
Yeah.
car thanks you.
Um,
it's just
Um,
wonderful.
So,
Are we done?
Thank you,
Craig, is
Craig.
it done?
Well, it's done. We have a few minor hiccups that I need to address with GMI. It looks
Yeah.
good, but to you guys, but it doesn't look perfect to me, and I like it to be a little better than what it is. So I'm
Well,
gonna.
I trust you completely. You know.
So I just have to talk with the owner and go over a few things, and
Mhm.
and then hopefully it'll be done in a few weeks here.
Okay.
But it won't be anything that's that will affect anything very minor stuff.
Yeah, well, I walked the whole length of it. I walked down Smith Hill. Of course, I had to walk up again. But anyway, yeah, you may have seen I posted some pictures on I Am From Ashland and I Remember When, and I was just blown away. And I got a lot of good comments. I got like 75 people commenting on how wonderful it was. So again, thank you.
You're very welcome.
oh,
Anything else
silly.
for the board?
Motion to adjourn.
I have nothing, no.
Mr. Silly?
We're good here. Thank you. I apologize for not being able to get on sooner.
It happens. Mr. Lyford?
Nope.
I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I already made that motion.
I will accept it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy.